Hey, you are watching Satellite Communication Lecture Series. Today, we are going to talk about modulation, multiplexing, and so on. The analog signals are electrical replicas of original signals such as audio and video, whereas the baseband signals are those signals which occupy lowest or base band of frequencies. In the frequency spectrum used by the telecommunication network, the baseband signals occupy only the lowest band of frequencies. So, a baseband signal may consist of one or more information signal. For example, a number of analog telephony signals may be combined into one baseband signals by the process known as frequency division multiplexing. Other common types of baseband signals are the multiplexed video and audio signals which originate in the TV studio. And in forming the multiplexed baseband signals, the information signals are modulated onto subcarriers. So this modulation step must be distinguished from the modulation process, which places the multiplex signal onto a microwave carrier for transmission into the satellite. Now, in this video, the characteristics of more common types of analog baseband signals will be seen along with the representative methods of the analog modulation. Communication satellites are used to carry telephone, video and data signals and can use both analog and digital modulation techniques. The parameters amplitude, frequency and phase of a carrier wave is modified in dependence with the message signal. Frequency modulation is used in many applications from broadcasting to many communications and offers several advantages over other modes. The frequency of the carrier signal varies in accordance with the instantaneous amplitude of the modulating signal. Hence, in frequency modulation, the amplitude and the phase of the carrier signals remains constant. Natural speech, including the female and male voices, covers a frequency range of about 80 to 8000 Hz. The somewhat unnatural quality associated with the telephone speech results from the fact that a considerably smaller band of frequencies is used for normal telephone transmission. And the range from 300 to 3400 Hz is accepted internationally as a standard for the telephone quality speech, and this is termed as speech baseband. In practice, some variations occur in the basebands used by the different telephone companies. The telephone channel is often referred to as voice frequency channel, and this will be taken to mean a frequency range of 300 to 3400 Hz. There are good reasons for limiting the frequency range. The noise which covers the wide frequency spectrum is reduced by reducing the bandwidth. Also, reducing the bandwidth allows more telephone channels to be carried over the given type of circuit. And the signal levels encountered within the telephone networks vary considerably, and audio signal levels are often measured in volume units. For a sinusoidal signal within the VF range, 0 VU corresponds to 1 milliwatts of power 0 dBm. And no simple relationship exists between VU and power for speech signals, but as a rough guide, the power level in the dBm of a normal speech is given by VU minus 1.4. As a rule of thumb, the average voice level on a telephone circuit is defined as minus 13 VU, and this single sideband telephony is how the VF baseband may be represented in frequency domain. So, in some cases, the triangular representation has a small end of a triangle at 0 Hz, even though frequency components below 300 Hz actually may not be present. So, this diagram shows the different waveforms which are used in modulation. The first waveform is the original message signal, and the second waveform is the carrier signal which has high frequency, and the third waveform is the modulated waveform which modulates the signal with respect to this carrier frequency. That is, when this modulating signal amplitude is high, the frequency of the carrier will be increased. When it is low, the frequency will be varied. So here the frequency is varied in accordance with the value of the modulating or message signal. So the frequency of the modulated wave increases when the amplitude of the modulating or message signal increases. Similarly, the frequency of the modulated wave decreases when the amplitude of the modulating signal decreases. The analog signals are transferred to the microwave carrier by means of FM. The signal is frequency multiplied up to the required uplink microwave frequency. In the receive branch, the incoming FM microwave signals is down converted to an intermediate frequency, and the baseband signal is recovered from the intermediate frequency carrier in the demodulator. The actual baseband radio signals is now available directly via a low pass filter, but the audio channels must each undergo an additional step of FM demodulation to recover the baseband and audio signals. A major advantage associated with the FM is the improvement in the post-reduction signal-to-noise ratio at the receiver output compared with the other analog modulation methods. This improvement can be attributed to three factors. One is amplitude limiting, a property of FM which allows an exchange between the signal-to-noise ratio and bandwidth. A noise reduction inherent in the way noise phase modulates a carrier. And here you can see the basic circuit blocks of an FM receiver. The receiver noise, including that from the antenna, can be lumped into an equivalent noise source at the receiver input. The limiter circuit following an IF amplifier removes the amplitude modulation, leaving only the frequency modulation component of the noise. And now let us see about the multiplexing technique. The technique of transmitting the multiple signals over a single medium is called multiplexing. And there are two types of multiplexing, as we all know. One is FDM and other is TDM. In frequency division multiplexing, which it provides a way of keeping a number of individual telephone signals separate while transmitting them simultaneously over a common transmission link circuit. Each telephone baseband signal is modulated onto the separate bus subcarrier, and all the upper and all the lower sidebands are combined to form the frequency multiplexed signal. Here you can see the three voice signals which are frequency division multiplexed. This is shown in this figure. It can also be multiplexed single sideband telephony. For example, the triangle representation has a small end out of the triangle at 0 Hz, even though frequency components below 300 Hz actually may not be present. And also in some cases, the upper ends at the 4 kHz to indicate allowance for a guard band, the need for which is very much important. And when the telephone signal is multiplied when time domain with the sinusoidal carrier of FC, a new spectrum results in which the original baseband appears on either side of the carrier frequency. So, the band of frequencies below the carrier is referred to as lower sideband, and the band of carrier above the carrier is called upper sideband. To avoid distortion which would occur with the sideband overlap, the carrier frequency must be greater than the highest frequency in the baseband. So, the result of this multiplication process is referred to as double sideband suppressed carriers, that is DSB-SC modulation, since only the sidebands and not the carrier appear in the spectrum. Now, all the information in the original telephone signals is contained in either of the two sidebands, and therefore it is necessary to transmit only one of these, and a filter may be used to select either one or reject the other. The resulting output is either termed as the single sideband signal. The SSB process utilizing the lower sideband is where 20 kHz carrier is used as an example. So it will be seen that the lower sideband, the frequencies have been inverted, and the highest frequency at highest baseband frequency being translated to lowest transmission frequency at 16.6 kHz, and lowest baseband frequency to the highest transmission frequency at 19.7 kHz. This inversion doesn't affect the final baseband output, since the demodulation process re-inverts the spectrum. At the receiver, the SSB signal is demodulated by being passed through the identical multiplying process. In this case, the multiplying sinusoid termed as local oscillator signal must have the same frequency as the original carrier. A low pass filter is required at the output to select the baseband signal and reject others unwanted frequency components generated in the demodulation process. And this single sideband modulation and demodulation process as shown in this figure, the way in which the SSB signals are used for the simultaneous transmission over a number of telephone lines, and it should be noted at this point that a number of different carriers are likely to be used in the satellite link. The radio frequency carrier used in the transmission to and from of the satellite will be much higher in frequency than those used for the generation of the set of SSB signals. These later carriers are sometimes called as VF carriers, and the term subcarrier is also used in this practice will be followed here, and thus the 20 kHz carrier is called as a subcarrier. Comparative sideband, single sideband, that is CSSB, refers to a technique in which the speech signal levels are compressed before transmission as a single sideband, and at the receiver they are expanded again back to the original levels. In one companded system, the 2:1 compression is in decibels is used, followed by 1:2 expansion at the receiver. So it is shown that in reference that the expander decreases in attenuation when a speech signal is present and increases its attenuation when it is absent. In this way, the idle noise on the channel is reduced, which allows the channel to operate at a reduced carrier to noise ratio. And this in turn permits more channels to occupy a given satellite link, and this is called as the companded single sideband. Thank you.